Today we want to talk a little bit about NAKA tournament basics. My name is Dan Sasser.
I'm Blake Robertson.
And this year we are your NAKA tournament trail directors. First off, we want to thank the kayak store for having us in today. Tony takes care of us. He's a huge sponsor for the NAKA trail. He used to fish it before he owned a store, so we definitely want to thank him for being here and allowing us to be here today to record. So what we want to go over first is just a really high-level view of what NAKA is and how the tournaments work. So at the beginning of every season, you're going to have a tournament schedule get posted. Those usually go out end of December, 1st of January, something like that. So that schedule is always going to be available. We'll announce it on the Facebook page, and you'll see that available on Facebook and our website. Everything is run through TourneyX. So if you don't have TourneyX, download the TourneyX Pro app. Sign up for an account. It's free, and that's what we use to submit all of our fish and everything else as well. So in general, when we have a tournament, we're going to have a virtual captain's meeting. That's usually on Thursday or Friday night before the meeting. That'll usually be Blake. It could be myself, depending on the situation. But we're going to have a virtual captain's meeting. That virtual captain's meeting is going to go over all the safety rules. It's going to go over lines in time, lines out time, weigh-in locations. Everything to get you on the water and be in the tournament for that day. So in a NAKA tournament, we are going to give a 3-digit or a 3 alphanumeric code for your identifier for a tournament. That'll be given out on Friday before the tournament, and that's announced on the Facebook page, and it will also be posted in TourneyX. Of course, you can always reach out to anybody in NAKA, anybody else fishing it, and get that code as well. So the day of, kind of the way that goes, our tournaments are open. We do not do, local launch. We allow people to local launch, but we don't do one launch stop. So everything's going to be an open stop. So you're able to get on the water before lines in time. You just can't cast or catch a fish before lines in time. All that information again will be posted as well as mentioned in the virtual captain's meeting. So day of, you get out. Get on the water. Of course, be safe. We're going to go over all the rules here shortly. But get out, fish, catch your fish, submit all your fish through the TourneyX application. Submit those. You'll cull through the app, and then just keep fishing.
All right, new rules. So we are putting in place some new rules this year. We are no longer going with 3 fish limits. We're going to be going with 5 fish limits this year. Also, we are moving away from a mouth open on the fish to mouth closed on the fish. Also, we are moving away from the NAKA bump sticker. You are still allowed to use your NAKA bump sticker, but we are not requiring it this year. We are going to have, you will be able to put your identifier inside the NAKA bump sticker or write it on your hand. We allow canoes, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards, tubes, anything that's man-powered. We do not allow any gas or electric motors in our tournaments.
We do allow those motors if, on a case-by-case basis. So if you have a reason, if you're especially disabled vets, things like that, we don't want to disclude anyone from participating. So absolutely reach out to either one of us. And we'll be able to take care of that and make sure it's approved.
Yeah, just be sure to reach out in far enough advance before the tournament so we can, the tournament directors can get together and approve that. A PFD must be wore at all times. You can use an inflatable type PFD, or you can use a standard kayak PFD. Either's fine. Just make sure you do have a PFD.
Has to be worn out all times, and if anyone sees you without a PFD, you can be DQ'd from the entire tournament. So
yeah. So if it's a cold day in the early part of the year and you starting to shed some layers, just move to the bank into some shallow water or on the bank, remove that layer, and then put your PFD back on, and then go back to fishing. We just want to make sure everybody's safe with everything we do. This is artificial lures only, so only artificial lures, no live bait, no worms or anything of that nature. public launch only. So you can only launch from any public ramps that all the public can launch from. It is okay to launch from a pay ramp. So for example, like Ditto Landing, it is a pay ramp. So you can, if everybody else can pay to launch there, you can launch there from as well.
You can also launch from bridges, anything that's public public right away. So as long as I can launch there, if you launch there, then it's completely legal. But if you're launching from grandma's backyard, then that's no go.
Yeah. And when you launch and in navigable water, you cannot cross man-made dividers to get in there. It has to be accessible from the main body of water. It is okay to cross over any type of shoals or beaver dams,
yeah.
anything that's naturally made. It is okay to cross that, but nothing man-made. Moving launch locations by your vehicle is okay, but mother shipping is not okay. So you can invite your buddy with a bass boat or a pedal kayak to come pull you to your next spot. You have to be able to get there by your own means.
Unless there's an emergency situation.
Correct.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about scoring. NAKA allows both hog troughs and catch boards. So you can see we have the hog trough here, non-marked. So if you are going to use a hog trough, highly recommend you marking these lines with a Sharpie. So you can't make any modifications to a board outside of that. You can't modify the catch boards at all really outside of putting a sticker on it. So if you are going to have a hog trough, because you can't see the lines, it's in your best interest to mark these with a Sharpie, color the letters and numbers in, just so we can see that when we're judging.
And if you use a catch board, use some type of lanyard to hook to you, because these metal catch boards do not float and they will sink to the bottom of the river.
And they'll just be an anchor at that point.
And they'll be an anchor.
So hog trough and catch boards only. With codes this year, we are going to allow you to write the code on your hand. So there's only two methods available to you for codes this year, and it's going to be with the NAKA bump sticker, which you can see here. We have the NAKA bump sticker here, and you can write your 3-digit code in the NAKA bump sticker. That's perfectly legal, or you're going to be able to write it on top of your hand. Just one useful tip: if you are writing the code on your hand, be sure that you don't have a sleeve covering it up, or any other, like a watch or anything else like that can cover your hand to keep that identifier from being covered. We don't want to have to disqualify fish due to that.
Yeah. Well, it's probably still highly advised that you use the bump sticker so you don't have any problems with your identifier, or doing both. Both would ensure that you get that identifier in there.
So you want to talk a little bit about the scoring this year and the photo requirements?
Yeah, so we'll move on to the scoring and photo requirements. So the fish must be, when you have your catch board, the fish must be facing to the left with the fin up, and be sure to make sure the tail is touching the nearest 1/4 inch, and we can clearly see that. If we cannot clearly see that fish is, say, touching 18 inches, and we can't clearly see it's touching the 18-inch line, that fish will be knocked back to the 17 3/4. When scoring this year, since we are going hands on the fish and no mouth open, and also no restraint devices, so no clips, no fish grips or anything like that anymore, the mouth must be closed. And if that mouth is not closed this year, any crack to that mouth will be a 1/2 inch deduction. So it's not if it's a 1/4 inch open, it's if it's open at all, it will be a 1/2 inch deduction. And then whenever you're placing your hand on that fish, make sure the mouth is closed, and then the hand is on top of the fish, not touching the gill plate, covering the eye or under the gill, or touching the tail at any means necessary. No touching the tail at all. You can adjust that tail before taking that photo to get that next 1/4 inch, but you cannot touch the tail during the photo.
Basically, just have your hand in the middle of the fish.
Yeah. And we will post on our NAKA Facebook page a picture with those requirements on there, so you can look at that for review.
And so if you do catch a fish, measure that fish, like you said, get the most out of your fish, hands on, no restraints. But in the event that you do catch the same fish twice, which is very rare, any fish can only be scored one time. So you can't score a fish twice. Sometimes, or it's actually not that hard to tell if a fish has been, the same fish has been scored twice. So another thing, if you have a fish that looks like it's, dying or dead or something like that, what we call the zombie fish. If that fish looks unhealthy, just take a video of it swimming away when you release it so that we can tell, because any fish that looks dead, we're going to DQ that fish.
Yep. And then also this year and as years past, we do use Tourney X, so you will need to put those photos in through the Tourney X Pro app. So that is downloadable through Android or iPhone. Then that's just a simple app to capture your fish, post your fish, auto cull for you, and you can also see other standings.
I always like taking pictures outside the application first, doing it on my phone. You have to have location turned on your photos, so make sure you got the geotags on, because we're going to use that to make sure you're in bounds when you're submitting your fish.
And be sure to have location services turned on inside your settings on your phone, as well as inside the settings inside the app, the Tourney X Pro app.
So we want to talk a little bit about Angler of the Year. If you fish the NAKA Trail Stop, you can qualify for Angler of the Year. We do have 5 trail stops this year, so you can drop one of those tournaments, so your best 4 out of 5 goes towards that. In regards to a tournament, how that breaks down, in a trail stop, 100 points goes to the winner. Every place back gets -1 point. Big bass in each trail stop receives 1 bonus point, and then we also have NAKA Big Bass tournaments, which are month-long online tournaments. And your largest bass from a NAKA Big Bass tournament also goes towards your Angler of the Year. Angler of the Year is a separate thing from our Classic as well, but you have to place top 15 in Angler of the Year points to make it to our Classic, which is invitation only. So our Classic will be a top 15 from Angler of the Year. Anybody that wins a NAKA Big Bass tournament, anyone that wins a NAKA Trail Stop tournament, and then also your previous year's Trail Classic champion as well. All right, well, we look forward to having you out on the 2022 NAKA Tournament Trail. Feel free to look at our website, nakatrail.com, check out all of our sponsors. Thank you again to Tony at the Kayak Store. He always does us right. Huge sponsor. He's in Hartselle, Alabama, so look him up. Come down here, check out downtown, come to the store, get you some food and hang out and buy a kayak. Yeah, I could do that. I don't know. My frail arms.
Go put a helmet on, life jacket on, tie it on just here.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming with us this year. Come along for the ride.
I'm glad I'm recording for that.
No.
Hell yeah, I got that. It's pretty much